Hello, dear beloveds. Well, I wanted to come in here live today. I'm actually pretty excited about Intentional Tuesday this week because I've been all over the place. I've been in Mama Bali with the third level priestesses and completely reveling in that process, that intense week that we have together, which is really just not even the halfway point of a year-long program. But what it does is it brings all of the training as an intuitive guide to life for the women. And so even though myself and the lead mentors, Gemma and Amy, know exactly where we're going and how it's all going to play out, this is the first time that it really becomes huge. And so it's totally consuming in that space of the retreat. And I've let myself be gentle with myself since returning from that incredible event, that 1 week together in Mama Bali, and then I had a few days to myself. But I'm back now. Today is the second day of my official work week back from after the time in Bali, and I have been feeling a lot of new energy rising. And you know how I feel about astro weather. I'm not going to say it's because of this new moon energy, but we are in Scorpio season, and I am a Scorpio. It's my birthday this Saturday, and I find at this time of year that I have a lot of energy available. Now, sometimes that energy is positively available, and sometimes, depending on the state that I'm in, it can be destructive energy. And it's a very exciting thing when we can recognize that that energy is just what it is. It's completely neutral. But the way that we receive it, the events of our life, and how we choose to engage with that energy will determine the quality of our experience. So I don't buy into this idea that you know, because the planets are in a certain place in the sky, or because it's new moon or full moon or whatever, that we're going to all be experiencing the same thing. I think it all entirely depends on your level of commitment to recognize your own patterns and behaviors and to respond with choice, not just reacting and letting that sort of astro weather or anything else be a reason why you do or don't show up. So let's bring it back to me though. What has been happening for me? Because as I said, this is my season and I get a lot of energy at this time of year. Sometimes positive, sometimes negative, depending on how I receive it. But at the moment, I'm very happy to say that even though there's been some big challenges going on, and that is life, isn't it? It's not like I'm waiting for the day when all those challenges stop. The energy that I'm feeling is incredibly productive. And I'm feeling a sense of urgency, which is often the way that I experience energies. I feel like this urgent feeling coming into my body that something big is brewing in me. And in fact, I have a meeting with my business manager on Friday, and I said to her, I have something brewing, and I need to talk to you about it because I know I want to bring it into the world, but I'm just not sure where I want to place it yet. The ideas that are coming into me are not new to me, but the ways that I want to talk about intuition and the ways that I want to talk about our relationship to ourselves as what we truly are, which is God in my language, are getting bigger and louder, and I guess less apologetic. So you may say, well, I don't think you've ever been particularly apologetic about your message, Ricky, but I feel like I have let it all be a little bit, I don't know, mundane or human in some ways. I've let my teachings allow people to sit inside of the paradigm that they are limited and finite, and of course that's the opposite of everything that I want. I don't want to dull it down or dumb it down for anybody, including myself, especially for myself. You know, what I teach is not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but the idea that we are God and that I want everyone to know that they're God is because of this. And this is the thing that's really been sitting with me the last few days, is that is how we meet our infinite power. And intuition is a step on that path, yeah? So if we want to connect to the idea that we're God, we have to have a communion or a communication hotline between us and that infinite consciousness, because our human identity keeps us believing that we're separate. And intuition is that bridge. So intuition is a step towards meeting our infinite power. Acknowledging its existence, training it is all part of it. But really excuse me, what excites me most is actually looking at why are we afraid of our power? And very often that will come down to the question, why are we afraid of God? Why are we afraid of the word God? Why are we couching this in pseudo-spirituality and wellness speak and conversations about the dream? And that's really, I guess, the end point of what I really have been feeling so powerfully this week. You're getting a peek inside my brain, and I hope it's not terrifying you. We are responding to the dream as though it is real, and we continue to do that even though everything we read is and study is telling us that we are actually generating the dream. So why do we keep behaving as though this dream is primary and precedes us? Because it doesn't. Consciousness precedes matter. So why do we sit inside, and I'm asking this of myself big time right now, why am I sitting inside a dream that is less than my infinite unlimited self, which is God? Why am I behaving in accordance with a limited perception of reality? And for me, this is coming up very strongly because there are things that are, have been troubling for me in the last couple of weeks, and things that I've tried to make sense of. And I've realized it's moving furniture in a burning building, to use that brilliant metaphor. Instead of trying to make the dream behave itself, what if I simply zoom out and remember my infinite God nature that is the generator of the cosmos? So the cosmos is being generated in response to my consciousness and your consciousness and all of our collective consciousness together. So this is my challenge at the moment, is that I've recognized that I've been indulging people's fears that are inside of the dream, and I don't want to do that. And the way that I can change that is to change my own behavior. So if I'm the teacher, which I'm a spiritual teacher, teaching is demonstrating. Teaching isn't me telling you things and then not doing those things for myself. And that is very much where I'm at right now, with this very clear instruction from my God nature that I want to stop indulging my belief in the dream as primary, as preceding my vibrational consciousness, and begin to actually craft. I have a pretty epic and awesome life, but I still have places where I'm easily thrown by other people's behavior, where I let things dull me down, where I'm still investing in an illusion. And so I want to alter my perception of myself even further right now. The only power we have, the true power we have, and the true nature of understanding intuition is it's a change in perception of what we are. So I guess I feel like I want to just keep getting louder on this idea so that I hear myself, that anyone out here who's ready to hear me can hear that as well. That I want to talk about power. I want to talk about intuition as power. And I want people to understand that we don't go towards our intuition so that we can make the dream behave itself, but so that we know how to manifest and manufacture the dream, not at a small level. And to even use that word manifest makes me a bit uncomfortable, because so much is done in that name of manifestation that is actually small. But when we remember that we are God, we're not manifesting from a small place. We're not trying to just grow our income. We're not just trying to, have nice things around us. We're not trying to get a new car. We're trying simply to live in accordance with what we are, which is God. So I want to talk about power. I want to talk about spiritual power, which is the only power, holy power, which is the only power that we have. And how do we make peace with the idea that we are God or all powerful? I mean, this is really what it comes down to. People get uncomfortable with me talking about them as God, because what I'm saying is you are all powerful. There ain't nothing stopping you from being the full expression of your optimized self, which is God, which is infinite, unlimited consciousness. And of course, that makes people want to run screaming from the room. And I get that. I understand that. And this is where we dull it down and we do pseudo-spiritual things, and we're on the precipice of leaping into our spiritual power and our spiritual leadership, and we'll just kind of dull it all down and become very ordinary and mundane, and we'll let ourselves be comfortable with a really small vision of ourselves, and we'll say, well, this is all I'm capable of right now, Ricky. I've got things going on in my life right now, Ricky. This is happening for me right now, Ricky. And instead of seeing ourselves as the creator of that reality, we are responding or reacting to that reality as though it is primary and it is secondary. where it exists or where it was created from is at the level of consciousness. So if you're sitting in a small little tiny vision of your life because you're terrified of your own power, this is the day that I call you out, and I ask you to stop comforting yourselves with comforts, with the known, with that, you know, that side of the river that is all familiar. And as soon as you leave the shore and you get into the water, as you know, Joe Dispenza tells us, we're in that river of discomfort, and we'll do anything we can to get away from our power, to sit back on that comfort zone, that comfortable shore where everything's familiar, and we'll say, no, this is what I want. I didn't actually want to be a spiritual leader, because who am I to call myself a spiritual leader? That's just narcissism. You know, we'll start telling ourselves saboteur ego stories, but we think because they're really humble that they are somehow right and correct. And I really want to call bullshit on that. We are so terrified of our own power, especially as women on this path, and we will accept less than what we are, believing that this kind of pseudo-spiritual humility is the way that we are being more godly. So if I don't hold a big vision for my life, then I'm just being humble, and it's okay for me, and all I want to do is be here and be comfortable. And actually what you're saying is, I'm fucking terrified. I'm terrified of my gloriousness. I'm terrified of meeting myself as what I truly am. And I'm terrified of bringing that into the world, because what if people don't like me? And this is the thing that I guess it's coming down to for me, is people very often don't like me, or they'll like me for a while, and as soon as they get really close to meeting their infinite nature, they'll find a problem. They'll find a way to blame the messenger. And that's okay, because it's not my job to be liked. And in fact, I'm reviewing the content for my third level priestesses who are about to graduate on spiritual leadership. And I wrote an article about some of the ways that you can know that you're a spiritual leader. And one of them is that you're going to be very unpopular. You're going to be very unpopular after you've been put on a pedestal. So someone puts you on a pedestal because they've never met their own fierce power before, so they think that you're the source of it. And then when they start to get close to that power and they realize that it is in them, they push you off the pedestal and say that you're the problem. I have seen this so many times. This is an archetypal pattern that comes up again and again and again. So I wrote this article to remind myself that I am not actually the problem, and that this is actually not a problem at all, except for, of course, if that person can't notice their own pattern. If they start to see that they're getting close to their own power and they're upper limiting, to use Gay Hendricks language, then we can break through that upper limit, that ceiling. But usually what happens with these women who get close to meeting their own infinite power is they'll placate themselves with a dulled down version of what is possible for them. And that is something that I guess I've accommodated or I've allowed, and I don't want to allow that anymore. You know, the women that I train are exceptional, and most of them see through that pattern, and most of them can go further. But there's a whole bunch of people who don't have the privilege or the access to working through the third level. But I really want to expand my mandate to help us become unafraid of our own power, our spiritual power, which is our only power. And so I feel like something is coming, something big is brewing in me. I don't know how it's going to come out into the world yet, but my intention today is to show up on Intentional Tuesday and not let this just slide away into the, you know, back of my journal and never be acknowledged. I want to make myself accountable by announcing to you, this is what I stand for. I stand for taking you to meet yourself as God. And yes, I can't take you further than you're willing to go, but I'm going to provide the conditions, the optimal conditions for you to meet your God nature, so that you do not feel fear when that you come face to face with God, and you don't run away and placate yourself with a little tiny vision. Because let me tell you, you are so needed by the world, my sisters. You are so needed by the world, and there is nothing in the pseudo-spiritual work, the wellness work, there's nothing that is going to change the world as we know it. The paradigm we need to occupy is that I am God, I am unlimited power, and I am ready to use that truth as a way to serve the world. And my prayer, and our prayer, if you want to take up this prayer this week, is my prayer this week is, dear God, let my life be a demonstration of your power. And the beauty of this, if you know the way that I'm talking here, is that you're praying to yourself, because you are that power. There's nothing outside of you that you're praying to, because you contain the infinite within you. You are inside the mind of God, and God is inside your mind. I mean, this is this is it. This is what we are coming down to in a nutshell. So if you're living in a paradigm that is less than who you truly are, then I invite you, as I'm inviting myself this week, why am I accommodating that? And I'm no longer interested in training women or working with women who get so close to meeting themselves as God and then just, chicken out. I'm interested in calling in those women who are ready, and there's so many of them around me, and I get so excited. What we created on this third level retreat that's just passed, it changed my life, and I feel deeply honored that all of those women had the courage to do what many of them thought they could not do, which was to meet themselves as God. And I'm so excited about what else is possible. And they've set a new bar for me. They've set a new bar. There's a caliber, and the next group that are coming in are just already, I am so aware, are going to take me and that training to the next level. There is no doubt that this is growing, and this is growing fast. I don't want to couch my teachings in kind of pseudo-spiritual language and make you feel comfortable to stay in your comfort zone. You are the infinite made manifest. You are God, and that's who I want to talk to. And if that makes you uncomfortable, then this is probably not the space for you. Because this is the time where we need to be unafraid of our spiritual power and step into our spiritual leadership and stop playing small just because it feels comfortable and safe for your nice little life. It's okay to be disliked. It's okay to be disapproved of, and you can still thrive. And I am living proof of that. Okay, because there are so many people who make me the enemy when they go to meet their own power and don't have what it takes to go all the way. And I am still okay, and I am still glorious, and I am still excited about my job and my life. And in fact, I'm more excited about it now because thank God for Scorpio season, because it's given me that absolute clarity that what I am here to do is teach you about your own power and the true nature of your power, and to leave no space in your life where you can sneak away from that power. So that's my intention today, is to make this known. And as I say, I don't know how I'm going to share this with the world. It's obviously part of the third level training. It's absolutely part of what my postgraduate program that launches next January will be. Those women are all ready for this, and I'm so excited to see what we create together. But I feel like I also want to go to a bigger audience, and I want more and more spiritual women to stop, just kind of fizzing out just at that moment where they're about to get glorious. This is a really vulnerable time, and I recognize that now, that for a lot of the women that I've trained, they get really, really close, and just at that moment of launching, something comes in to sabotage that. And I want to serve in that space. I really want to make a difference, and I want to show you what you are. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been my absolute privilege to be here. I feel like I just couldn't sit on this. I just had to get this out. I had to talk it out loud. And I would love to hear what your intention is for this week. And please, look through the lens of, am I sitting in my safety zone, my comfort zone? Have I gone to meet myself as God and just kind of got there and gone, oh shit, better just back away and do something nice and polite, or oh no, my family needs me, or blah, blah, blah. Any of the excuses we use, any of the ways that we sabotage ourselves when we're about to meet our infinite nature, make it a point this week to look at where you are limiting yourself because you're afraid of your own power, because you're afraid that you'll be rejected, because you're afraid people can't love you when you're in your full power, because you're afraid that you will not survive, any of the ways that we hide from ourselves. All right, beautiful ones, I can't wait to see all your shares. Mwah! Have a beautiful day.